Is now a good time to buy a home? I get asked that question a ton as a real estate agent. And typically what I'll do is I'll flip that around and ask a question of my own, which is, when do you think is the best time to buy a home? Typically that generates some type of response like, it's probably the fall, maybe the winter. None of those answers are correct. The best time to buy a home was 5 years ago. And guess what? 5 years from now, what is going to be the best time to buy a home? Right now. That's right, folks. You really have to look at the bigger picture when you're talking about real estate. Brian here, your Boston real estate guru. Today we're going to be talking about buying in an economic environment like the one that we currently have today. So it is very challenging out there. You've got a whole host of factors that are playing into the market that traditionally don't all present themselves at the same time, but we are dealing with it right now. So you've got fairly high interest rates, you've got low inventory, and you've got the media and everyone trying to scare you to death, preventing you from moving forward with the home purchase. The reality is you have to look at your opportunity cost of continuing to rent versus purchasing a home. So if you're spending, let's say, about $2,500 a month, which is about the average rent, actually it's a little bit more than that here in the city of Boston. But if you're spending $2,500 a month on rent, over the course of a year, that's $30,000. So over a 3-year period, you're looking at close to $100,000. In that money that you've spent on rent, that $100,000, it's $90,000, let's call it $100,000 just for round numbers. That money is gone, poof, right into the ether. There's no tax benefits, there's no breaks, there's no write-offs, none of that stuff. It is literally gone. You haven't built any equity. It is an expense. If you have the means to purchase a home, but you are reluctant to do so because you're quote unquote afraid or you're fearful, then that's not a very good reason because you are going to lose out big time. And here's what's happening. As interest rates continue to climb, although they're not really climbing. Right now, they're kind of flattened out right around 6.5%, between 6.5% and 7%. It has put some pressure on home prices, so they've stopped appreciating at the same level that they were over the past 2 or 3 years. So that is good news for home buyers. And the nice thing is even though you are paying considerably more in your monthly mortgage payment, you are set up for a potential refinance in 3, 4, 5 years where you can get into a lower rate. And that's exactly what happened back in 2020, 2021, is that people that were in these higher rate interest rate mortgages, they refinanced. So if they were in, say, a 5% or a 5.5% mortgage, they dropped down to 3.5% or 3% or under 3%, right? So they saved a bunch of money. A lot of people did like a cash out refi, and they took money out of their existing home. They took equity out of their home and used that to purchase another home. And that's why you saw this huge run up in prices, because people had tremendous equity in their homes. They took that equity out and they did something with it and put it into another piece of property. So that is the way that the game is played. And by sitting on the sidelines for another year, 2 years, 3 years, you are costing yourself a huge amount of just wealth, your net worth. So there is a reason why the net worth of a homeowner is 40 times that of a renter. That is staggering. 40x. That is just a crazy number, but it's real. And the reason why is because you have an asset, and that asset is typically an appreciating asset. Now, let's talk about the naysayers. People like, don't buy a house now, you're crazy if you buy a house now. Many of those people that are telling you that live already in a house, right? So they're there. They've already got the home ownership piece covered. You don't. So you need to stop listening to the people that are telling you now is not a good time. Regardless of what the economic conditions are, even during a massive recession, guess what? There are still people buying homes. Like, let's use 2008 as an example. Or it was really 2009, 2010 when home prices, because it takes a while for the homes to actually come down in value. So back in 2009, 2010, when it was really hitting the low point there were still people buying homes. And if you bought back in 2009, 2010, look at how much you've gained in terms of equity during that time period between, say, 2010 and 2020. It's staggering. So is the market correcting? A little bit, but that is artificially being done because of the higher interest rates. So you really got to look at home ownership in terms of the long game, as opposed to looking at it in like the here and now and saying like, oh, interest rates are at 6%, 7%, 8%. Doesn't matter. I mean, people bought homes when the interest rate was at 16%. And guess what? They were able to continue to pay on their mortgage. They built equity in the home. And then when they sold that home, they had a bunch of money. That is what this is all about. This is about home ownership. This is about building equity. This is about changing your financial future through home ownership. If you did find this type of video helpful, I just kindly ask that you smash the like button and also click the subscribe button down below to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching. Take care.